Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So behind me here I have two water coolers that I actually found on garbage day and they both don't work. This one here is an older style, this one is more modern, and what I want to do today is answer the question, do the older styles have more copper and which one on the whole is worth more as scrap value? Both of them do have a lot of similar parts, but there are definitely going to be differences between the two given the age. So what I want to do today is help you identify the material, separate it properly, and more importantly, maximize your profit and divert as much of these away from the landfill as possible, as well as answer that question about scrap value. So here we go. The first thing I do want to say is definitely a benefit is they both do have a lot of tin. So I have already removed a lot of the tin. As you can see, this one here looks like stainless steel, but if I put a magnet to it, this is the frame. It does stick. So this is going to be tin, the case here. This one, the older one, does have two back panels here that are tin as well. And right now in London, Ontario, the tin is going for about 8 cents a pound. If I was to put a magnet to this and it didn't stick, then we are looking at, for sure, stainless steel. And if it was stainless steel, it would be going for 70 cents a pound, which is an excellent price. But again, the rule to figure out if it's tin or stainless steel, if the magnet slid down that, which it doesn't, it would be stainless steel. So definitely would have been a great thing, but better than nothing because this is still scrappable. Unfortunately, this older one does have a lot of plastic, and this older one did have a small fridge on the bottom. Some of this, like this, is heavier plastic. I can recycle, but there is a lot of garbage in here that will unfortunately go to the landfill. This bucket here I can use again as a good storage unit, so definitely, being able to use things again, which will be great. But definitely some plastic on this one. I do want to move some of this plastic as well. This is the only real plastic that came off of the newer one here. So two pieces here at the bottom. This is a stronger plastic. This will be recycled. This one, before I throw it out, you can see there's a lot of plastic. But the nice thing, this does have as well some tin shred on that. So I definitely want to make sure I get that off. As well, I will get all the screws. You can see I've already taken apart a whole bunch of screws and little bits. This is going to go also into my tin pile or shred. And I will say, some people will ask, why are these going to be tin and not steel? Where we are here in Southwestern Ontario, in order for something to be classified as steel, it has to be thicker than 1/4 inch. Some of these bolts are definitely thicker than 1/4 inch, so I can put them into steel. Steel's worth a little bit more than the tin price, but for me, what I do is I put them all into a giant bin, and I will just bring them all in at once. Saves me from sorting them, and really it doesn't make a lot of a difference because as you can see in there, there's a lot of different size screws, and I just, like I said, use one giant container. So it depends on you. Some of these screws and bolts I definitely can use again, but definitely a lot of screws in this, and that's part of the reason I disassembled it already with some plastic. Both of these have a really nice black backing to them, and you do want to make sure you use a magnet for these. Sometimes when you have the coil will connect to copper, so if you have a magnet, the magnet will go all the way down until it doesn't stick anymore, and that is where the copper is going to connect. But all of this, you can see, just gonna move this there, all of this black part is gonna be going into my tin, so back grill. And I will also make sure at the bottom of this video, I will add up all the tin weight and put that into the price as well. But right now, just wanna look at some of the beautiful copper that comes off of here. So here too is a grill. You can see this is from the older one. It's all tin here, and this is a good weight. So just gonna separate it just so I can get to the stuff. Both of these have a water bucket here. You can see both of them. I've just got to get this stuff out of here. Both of these have this, and the nice thing about this is if I put a magnet to this, you can see the magnet does not stick to these canisters. However, they do stick to the screws, so you definitely want to make sure you take the screws off. But these canisters are going to be stainless steel once I remove any magnetic force. So again, it's just the bolts here. Even this side piece here is stainless steel. This hose is stainless steel. And I do also want to make sure that I clarify as well the difference between stainless steel and aluminum, because some people do get confused with aluminum containers. If I was to use a grinder and put a spark to this or put a grinder to this, if it sparks, it is stainless steel. Aluminum does not spark. So just going to do a very quick demonstration. I have my grinder set up right here just to show you. So again, 3-step rule. First rule, put a magnet to it. If the magnet sticks, it's going to be tin. If the magnet doesn't stick, it's going to either be aluminum or stainless steel. And here is my grinder. So, very easy to tell this is stainless steel. And as I said, once I remove these bolts, it's going to be about 70 cents a pound, which is great. They both also have, you can see, wire here. This wire that goes in and inside both bodies is what we call 60% appliance wire. And the reason this is called 60% appliance wire is because each one of these copper wires is coated with one layer of plastic. So Scrapyard looks at copper to plastic ratio. There is less plastic here, one coating of plastic, so more copper recovery. And these wires right here are currently going for $1.87 a pound. And both of them have, as you can see, inside of it, relatively the same amount. Both of them as well have a beautiful appliance cord. This is obviously from the older one. This is from the newer one. Both are about the same size. And these wires are a different category. These are what we call 40% appliance wire. Because these have, again, the strands inside, there's 3 coated strands of copper, but there's also an outer coating of plastic. There is more plastic, less copper recovery. So these are 40% appliance wire, and these are going for 80 cents less. So these are $1.07 a pound, which is still a great price. Great item to get. I do see a lot of people, especially because there is a compressor in these, will just cut the cords off and drive off. But, you know, definitely better than nothing, but definitely a good score on both of them. Some people will also remove the brass prongs off here and put them into brass. I do that. Some people leave them on for the weight. I don't really see a difference in price. So, again, both of these are almost about a pound each, so about $1.07 right there. Getting into the inside body, this is where I really wanted to focus. And one big difference, actually I will start with the control panel, sorry. I'm going to start here with a big difference. Inside this new one here, there was a big difference in the control panels. It actually has right here a circuit board. And this circuit board, you can see right here, that prong, the white prongs there, those are actually gold-plated prongs. So there is gold in here. There is right here a relay box right there that is going to have some copper in it and a small dot of silver. You also have right here 2 pieces of extrusion, aluminum heat sinks. These are painted extrusion going for about, excuse me, $1.23 a pound. They are about 2 cents less than your metallic looking aluminum. So this is painted extrusion. And the reason I call this extrusion is because it is a type of aluminum that looks like it's been put through a press. Great item that you will find on circuit boards. Extrusion is very high right now, going for about $1.23 to $1.25 a pound. And I do have separate videos showing you how much free extrusion you can find on circuit boards. So again, doesn't look like a lot, but I have a bag behind me. Actually, you can't see, that's about 60 pounds just from extrusion from circuit boards. Again, you do have to make sure you separate it from your clean. It also has a transformer here, and I actually had one just the same size, and I've already taken the copper out, so I am going to weigh this in the experiment. It does also have a small little copper bearing motor here, and this copper bearing motor, I'm not going to open it to remove the copper. I'm just going to leave it. There is a category for copper bearing motors at a scrapyard, probably about 15 to 20 cents a pound. This is definitely not a pound. It's probably about 12 ounces, so close to a pound, 3/4 of a pound, but it definitely adds up, and you definitely want to take it off. But again, the interesting thing was your gold-plated fingers. I do remove those. I'll put them in a small vial. I will separate them. Some people will bring their circuit boards in as is, and it depends on where you live. Because it has gold on it, some places will give you low grade, medium grade, high grade, and because of the gold, it'd be more of your high grade. So you're maybe looking at about 20 to 25 cents a pound, depending on where you are. Unfortunately, where I take my stuff to, that scrapyard only gives me one value, and it's only about 5 cents a pound. So for me, definitely better taking off the items and separating them. I'm gonna make way more money for extrusion and my relay box and all those instead of just bringing it in, getting 5 cents a pound. There is also a lot of tin on here, and there are some brass ends in my on and off switch, my hot and cold switch. So definitely going to look at those as well, but really doesn't make a huge difference in this outcome. Okay, so control panel. This one had one too. It's just more of a push button. A little bit of controls there. There's a little bit of copper I have to get out of there. A couple little pieces of brass, but a lot more plastic on this. Okay, so really and truly, the big difference between these two is my water reservoir here. You can see this one comes off of my older one. Here is a little bit smaller one that comes off the newer one. As you can see, once I remove the styrofoam, this one is plastic. The older one, however, just gonna quickly open it for you. Gonna take my separator. I've already split it somewhere. Where did I split? There it is. Watch this. This is what I love about these water tanks. Remove that tape. As you can see right there, look at that spool of copper. So that's got 6 rings on it. This is what it's going to look like. Look at that beautiful ring of copper. And before you get panicked or nervous, there will be a small wire that runs through inside all of this tubing, and it does have, or it could have, a metallic look to it. If you scratch it, it is copper. So that was one thing I had to look at, is how was I going to get that out, but it is copper, a little copper tube like this running through it. But I am going to weigh this, so this is definitely a huge score. And you can see that I do find these often from my older water tanks. Sometimes they have 4 coils of copper. Very easy to take off. They just have a small little connection to it. It might be just you have to split the tube there, but it will loosen off of there. And again, amazing score. So this right here is going to be a beautiful piece of number 2 copper that I am going to add. As well, both of these have, once I remove this, both of them have a giant compressor inside of them, as well as some really nice other pieces of copper that go from the compressor all the way up to that heating coil. And both of these will have one of these. These are called dryers. This is the older one. This is the newer one. And the problem with these is if I shake them for you, you can hear there's like pellets inside of it. I cannot bring this into the scrapyard as is because of the pellets inside. There is sometimes, if I put a magnet to it, there might be a small, there you can see the magnet attracts there. There is a small piece of metal washer here. So you cannot bring that in like this and get copper price, number 2 copper. So, and I do actually have a video showing you how to open these to maximize your profit, and I will put the link down below in the description. But some really nice copper tubing here. This painted copper is going to have to be cut off because this is actually not copper right here. It only starts there. So you definitely want to make sure the magnet, that is going to have to be cut off. This, however, is all copper. And this right here is going to be number 1 copper. Some people will say because it had the oils or the fluids in it, it would be classified as number 2. And you're absolutely right, but what I do is I will soak it in a vinegar solution, get out that oil, and I will upgrade it. So really nice pieces of copper that I am going to add to the experiment for sure. This one you can see a lot longer. It's got some better tubing. And I have collected on both the other pieces that connect all the way to it. Which brings me to my last part, which is the compressors. The compressors, both of these compressors, definitely worth good money. And I do actually have a video showing you how to open these. Before I continue, the wires, before you start cutting the copper, air conditioners obviously have your gases inside, some Freon. These ones, I did have a professional do them for me. We flushed them. But when he opened them, you did not hear a large hiss. You did not see any gases coming out. So these were, I think, a little bit different than your air conditioners. You definitely want to check before you open it. As I said, I have a friend that will do all my compressors at once. But air conditioners, dehumidifiers, items like that that have Freon and things in them, and it is actually illegal for you to cut them yourself. So you do need to get a professional in to flush those, get the gases out so it does not harm the environment. But both of these, you have right here, this was definitely a smaller one. This one weighed 10 pounds. This one weighed 15 pounds from the older one. And you definitely want to make sure when you open these that you do be careful with the wiring. Some of the wiring that comes off of this can be very deceiving. You can see, for example, right here, there is a tubing that comes out. I do make sure I cut as close to the compressor as I can. But this tubing looks like copper, but it is not. So be careful with that. Don't assume that it's copper just because it looks like it. But I have opened them. Here is my 2 beautiful motors. So again, this is from the older one. Look at the size of that in comparison. I am going to weigh these. I am going to take them apart. But again, I do have a video showing you how to open compressors. Very easy to do. And as I said, I will put the link down. The rest of this shell, even this, there is a little bit of dirty cast on here. But I will throw all of this as well into my tin pile and get my 8 cents a pound. So I'm not losing anything from these, which is great. As well, on the side of them, they are going to have a small box like this. You do want to open them up. There is going to be little trinkets like this. Sometimes there is a coil of copper. These will have another silver contact inside of them. Here are my little bits of copper that came out of it. And the other thing you do want to make sure you check too is there are sometimes in these wires that connect to brass screws. You can see that is brass. Make sure you do the magnet test. Brass is non-magnetic. But some brass, this is yellow brass, so I do separate those, but some screws are brass and nuts and bolts. A little bits of copper. Again, definitely want to make sure you get all of the copper that you can and separate it. So here we go. I'm going to actually just open these 2 motors right now to weigh them. I'm going to put my safety glasses on. I do have a small scale here, and I am very excited to see how much copper I'm going to get from both of these. In a previous video, one of my best places to get copper, obviously, is copper-bearing motors, and compressors are an excellent place. But again, make sure you have someone that will cut it and flush it properly for you. So here we go, just going to cut this one. from being left-handed, I guess. Hard to grab some of these sometimes. Just going to finish cutting this. You can see beautiful, beautiful copper coming out of this. Make sure I get all of the spool. Beautiful. And I am not going to touch the strings. I'm going to leave it. Easiest thing to do now, once I have this out, and I love these compressors are great because of the oil. They allow the copper to come right out easier, like a natural lubricant, obviously. But definitely now just going to take a punch, a hammer, go, and I always just put it right through, feed it through. Does not take much. I've seen some people use an air chisel. I find this method just easy as well. Takes no time at all. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn it over. And I do want to say a shout out to someone that told me to grind this bench so it doesn't keep pulling. Thank you for that, one of my viewers, helping me modify this bench. It was getting to be a pain in the butt to try and get that moved without, tightening the bench without moving this whole thing. Just going to grab it now. Look at that. Boom. Look at the size of that copper. Beautiful. So that is one motor. That's my bigger motor. Doing the same thing. And the beautiful thing too is this as well is going to go into my tin. So definitely a couple pounds here of tin. Get every strand of number 2 copper that I can. Okay, last one here. Go. Just gonna finish cutting that. And obviously, video different than what I would be doing off camera, but a lot smaller, but still some beautiful copper here. Just gonna see if I can actually just pull it right out without even, that's why it's just a different angle. I've never actually seen a motor that has almost like a triangle, if you will. They're mostly square, which definitely makes it easier. But there we go. I guess they all come in different sizes. So look at that. This is a little bit different. I've never seen very many that have the point there. So moment of truth here. Here we go. I got my scale. And again, not going to weigh the tin for this. I do also make sure that I collect all of my copper dust. I have a container that always sits there as well on my bench here. But I'm going to start with the newer one here. And this copper, as I said, is number 2 copper, which is currently going to give me $3.50. For the sake of this experiment, again, I'm going to factor all of this copper as number 2, even though I do have right here some clean number 1. Little pieces of solder, obviously, I have to cut off. Painted copper is going to be number 2 as well, so make sure you understand that. But just for simplicity, going to weigh it. So here we go. We're going to put this in there. Going to recalibrate this to 0. So I got, once I fold this, the nice thing is it's easy to fold. There's some chunks here that I have, little pieces that I have to factor in as well. I have my motor. There we go. I have, oh, there's another piece. There we go. 15.15 ounces, so almost a pound right there, which is awesome. Gonna do my other one here. So here, gonna put it back to 0. There's my, oh, I'm gonna have to make sure this is, as I said, with steel, so I don't want to throw this experiment off. There we go. Actually, probably if I open this, there you go. probably start, oh, because there's a bracket there. You can kind of see inside of that. There is a small washer in there, but I'm gonna add this up. This is already 2 pounds, 2 ounces right there, just in copper. And I didn't even add this big boy up yet. So here we go. 3 pounds, 6 ounces. So a pound here, 3 pounds, 6. So almost 3.5 pounds right here in this old one. So definitely a lot more copper at $3.50 a pound. There's definitely going to be more tin here at 8 cents a pound, but definitely worth more money at the older value. But again, both better than nothing, both great scrappable items, and I do find them often. So hope you enjoyed that video. Again, I will put the final tallies on the bottom. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.